business, bitch, you ain't my lawyer. Buying everything they selling. Oh well, that's consumers for you. Who's to say that freedom ain't free? I do enjoy it. Holding down the fort. Hallelujah, hallelujah. 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 Let it take its course. Once you let go of comes back. Oh yes, well of course. It's a cycle, I run laps. I'm a psycho though, fun fact. Stereotyping this white kid like I'm packing knives on my lunch bags. Bringing guns to the school dance. I'm tired of getting laughed at. Put my life into a blog post. All my feelings have been a hashtag. Suicide note on my last text. Tell my mom and my dad's next. Probably mad cause I'm 19, but I ain't 19. I ain't had sex, yeah, I digress cause that was a hypothetical. Love me describing a white millennial to an extreme and a stream of thought cause I don't write cause I write illegible. What's the price of living life in stereo? My scenario is that my mind's at peace but my heart's gotta speak, so I ride these beats like a bicentennial. That don't really work, ignorance is bliss. I'm convinced pain don't really hurt if it's worth the risk. I've been pissed, thrown down in the dirt, ain't concerned a bit. Watch me hit the curb, I ain't scared, watch me skirt the whip. I don't want nothing unless I can get it myself. Myself. I don't want nothing unless I can get it myself. Myself. I don't want nothing unless I can get it myself. Myself. I don't want nothing unless I can get it myself. Yeah. What's a solid foundation to a force of nature? I've been holding down a fort, unfortunately yours is vacant. Forks up in my road, I don't know, but I hope they take me far away from this place. Man, I need a vacation, hallelujah. First they born, then they wish they knew you. Who the hell are you to tell me business, bitch? You ain't my lawyer, buying everything they selling. Oh well, that's consumers for you. Who's to say that freedom ain't free? I do enjoy it. Holding down the fort. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Holding down the fort. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Holding down the fort. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Holding down the fort. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
I was muted the whole time. Welcome back. Thank you, somebody, for letting me know. Can you hear me now? Let's do a sound test. I think that was just the mic being muted. Sorry, guys. Can you hear me now? Yeah, nice. So, just real quick to run that back while we're watching the markets. Trading's risky. Most traders lose money. I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. Make sure you read the full disclaimer down below. You're probably going to lose all the money that you decide to trade with. None of this is a suggestion or recommendation to do anything. I'm just an idiot talking about trading, and make your own decisions. Also read CFTC Rule 4.41 and the affiliate and partnership disclaimer in the descriptions of this video so you know what's going on. Now, YouTube was tripping out earlier. That one was completely my fault on the no sound, but I took a sell on Dow into the open. I'll talk about that. Kind of that really, really stupidly simple setup that I was talking about yesterday. But first, we're going to take a look here at MNQ, what I was saying before I read that was this is TopstepX. I've got a few funded accounts, XFAs is what they call them, daisy chained together here, 3-pack. And we're going to be looking at some trading on MNQ and MYM, NASDAQ and Dow futures contracts, live here with you guys this morning. So let me just take a look at my markup because I was really paying attention to Dow this morning. Got in way too small. Didn't realize what the stop loss was going to look like relative to volatility. One of the first setups I took on Dow, but jumped in too small with 2 micros. It's much more flexible on Dow. So looking at a 4-hour chart, super zoomed out. Choppy, right? Pretty choppy. If we go way, way out to the daily and zoom out, which I like to do, just kind of start with higher time frame analysis, get some top-down analysis, push into the upside, right? Stonks go up. U.S. markets are typically on a nice slope to the upside. If you hold on for long enough, you typically make money. But we do go through corrections. We do go through recessions, downturns that can really generate some lower prices. We started to break down this uptrend, right? Right here. Got a little bit of a downtrend channel. Lower highs getting put in, lower lows getting put in. Started to snap that here, end of last month. Big sell-off. We know what happened the last 2 Mondays. Big sell-off at the open, recovery. Big sell-off at the open, recovery. Open of the trading week. And this is looking bullish here, kind of like last week. It's just feeling like the same thing, right? Pretty much feeling like the same thing. We are trading through Trump markets, headline markets, whatever you want to call them. A lot of volatility, a lot of craziness back and forth. Difficult to work with price action. But as we zoom in a little bit tighter on the 15-minute, I would define this as somewhat of an uptrend, day over day here, right? We are putting in higher lows, putting in higher highs, continuing this trend up. But acknowledging that, if I zoom out on the 15-minute, this is somewhat choppy, right? I mean, I'm kind of overly displaying that, but this is somewhat choppy. We're not just blasting to the upside. We're continuing to pull back, test lows, although not get below them. And then, form these uptrend channels, really, really harsh, sell-offs and then uptrend channels. So this can be a little bit difficult to work with. For the most part, coming into the trading day on MNQ, I'm looking long. I don't like to form a super strong bias like you hear me talk about. But why would I be looking long? We've had some bullish days, right? We're pushing to the upside. If we look at what happened yesterday into the close, we put our prior day high in, right? Put our high in, started to sell back off. Overnight was pretty dang weak. Short overnight through Asia and London session towards a couple hours into London, into pre-market. We've really been on this clean trend to the upside. We had 8:15 red folder news. We have 10 a.m. again, red folder news today. We do have NFP Friday, which we want to be cautious of. But we really absorbed that 8:15 news and just continued this rip to the upside. Like my man was saying in the chat, just popping at the open. This is looking bullish, guys. It's looking bullish. We are coming into this zone right here, right? You typically don't mark too many low time frame zones, but we definitely have something here, right? This, this pullback down to the 550, 560, right? 550 right there. Right there, we bounced a couple times. That was the low point before it cracked back up here, middle of the day yesterday. So we are testing that level, a little bit area of high volume, right? We'd see it on the volume profile. As we continue higher and we crack this overnight high back towards prior day high, long is the play. But again, I've had a lot of trouble getting into these on a higher time frame. Zooming really tightly in and just buying here and placing tight stop losses and trying buys a handful of times might work. Zooming out on NASDAQ, it's a power move. I like to do it. I've enjoyed doing it, but finding a way in on these just big pushes at the open have been a difficult game to play, right? Here's 9:30 yesterday. Just blast off on the 15-minute chart and then, kind of chop up here. Yes, we got a real nice pullback and then some continuation, but, kind of just right back up to the high. So these are tough markets, man. These are tough markets. So right now, I'd look for a potential long on a pullback. We started to turn and burn and just sell off, get down below this low, come and retest this area really aggressively. I'd be cautious, but I certainly think that can happen. I could see a pullback down here and then a continuation to the upside. I could see just a shallow pullback and a continuation. But this feels like yesterday. Again, feels like a blast off. That's not my setup, though. It's just not my trade. You can go and back test this, just like buy off the first 5-minute bullish bar at the open and, like a real tight stop loss. And, you tell me how that works for you. I think you'll have some days where you catch an absolute just knife to the upside. But for the most part, you're just not going to survive volatility. You're going to get stopped out so many times on this choppy movement back and forth. So it's not my setup, and if we don't get structure and we just take off like a rocket like this, I wait. I wait and stay patient. We'll talk about Dow. Ooh, that's not good. Slow refresh rate. Let me just check. Make sure my connection's good. I actually noticed that this morning. Yeah, my connection's straight. We got plenty of internet. That's interesting. Well, I'll have to watch that. Let me just go ahead and refresh this. Yeah, there we go. Back to green there. Cool. So, yeah, man, just watching to see if we get a pullback, something that kind of takes us a little bit lower. Maybe a sweep of this overnight low and then a continuation of the upside for a higher time frame move. It just has been difficult to work with structure for me personally. You might say, this is great. This is exactly what we need. It's been really back and forth. The moves that decide to come are like right off the open, or we get a reversal type move like we had on Monday where the entire trend to the downside just shifted right back up. I think it's fairly easy to hold a bullish bias right now, unless you're catching it on Monday nights. But it hasn't been great, at least for me in my setup, to be able to catch nice market structure to hang on to these larger moves in NQ. It's been been choppy. So I'm watching them. I'm waiting for it. Still looking at it. I really don't want to zoom in and start scalping. I'm trying to take myself off of that as much as I can. And we can take a look at Dow. Dow, like I was talking about, I have a long form video up. I did some back testing yesterday and recorded it as well, just to kind of explain this. Dow I really like. Again, I have a lot of experience trading Dow as US 30, as a CFD, before I came over to futures. Very, not like very correlated structure and price action wise to ES and NQ. I find those two to be paired up much closer. Dow kind of lives in its own world, at least in my humble opinion. But what we get from Dow is this very big, choppy back and forth movement, which can be difficult to work with directionally, but can be nice to work with in the reversal sense. And a lot of times it reverts to VWAP, like it's doing right now. It loves to come back to VWAP. From whatever areas it tests, it loves to come back and slice through VWAP, check out VWAP, chop around VWAP. So so the thesis is, we're dealing with an instrument that seems to like to revert back to that volume weighted average price, the temporary volume point of control, maybe if you're going to use a visible range volume profile. And how I trade this, or how I trade this one setup, at least the initial setup off the open, is to look for an opening above or below VWAP, where price is above or below VWAP by a considerable amount, where we're also testing somewhat of a zone, somewhat of a level that gives me a way to structure risk and ride it into the open. Option 2, at the open, wait for this zone to be tested, wait for a wick above this area to happen, maybe the most recent high or low looking left discretionary level, and then sell or buy back into VWAP. Again, extremely simple, like stupidly simple. Past that is to look for buys or sells off of VWAP, to be held as some dynamic support. But I took it this morning, again, sized in way too light, took a short. Right back to VWAP on this candle here. Actually didn't hit it if I zoom way in. Got real close, but that's, $150 across a couple accounts. But yeah, took it short, really right into the open. As we were near this high, gave me a way to structure risk, positive risk to reward, run it right back down into VWAP. You can get stopped out doing that, pretty quickly, right? You are counter to whatever the trend is, right? We're selling as prices above VWAP back down towards it. But I encourage you, go yourself, and I'll have the long form video out soon. I can't remember if there's one on my YouTube already. But take a look at Dow at the open. Take a look at how it will test a support resistance, an order block, a supply demand zone, whatever you want to call a level of structure above or below price, and then slice right back down to VWAP before it does whatever it wants to do. That's kind of the off the open trade on Dow. Again, NQ is just not giving me as much to work with, so I'm coming back to home base on the black sheep, YM. Along with that, throughout the trading session, right, after you kind of get it at the open, if you don't get it at the open, you still watch it. It loves to come back and test VWAP later in the session. If it starts to trend, if we start to test a support zone, a resistance zone, even if it's going to continue a big trend, it loves to come back and slice VWAP. So, again, I don't have to create the crazy understanding of why that is. I'm noticing a pattern, a technical pattern based on price action, market structure, and literally a volume tool, and capitalizing on that. Some disqualifiers would be if you don't have a good way to structure risk, right? If we're opening up right here above VWAP and we have a level of structure up here, and you say, well, I'm targeting, right down to that VWAP area, that middle ground of volume, point of control, that doesn't give you a good risk structure. So it's not like it always sets up, right? Just like anything else, you have to wait for an ideal way to structure risk and use a little bit of discretion. That's the secret sauce here, right? There's going to be times where I'm looking to enter it really aggressively, like I did this morning, like really not waiting for a bunch of confirmation. And there's going to be times where we are just blasting in one direction, and I'm like, okay, setup's coming. We're testing a zone. The move, the idea, the thesis is to, we're going to come back to VWAP, but I don't want to jump in front of this, moving train where we are just ripping to the upside, and my setup is a sell. So I'm going to hang on a little bit, wait for a further push, wait for, a candle in the opposite direction. All of these things. So, but yeah, if you're looking for a stupidly simple setup, which is what I try to find, I like to keep things incredibly simple, minimize the tools that I'm using. Go test Dow at the open. Go review Dow at the open, and take a look how many times it cracks back to VWAP on like medium time frames, medium to low time frames, 5-minute chart. Again, the setup was very, very clear today, right? This is a much higher time frame zone, coming off of all of these wicks here. But if we take a look at the low end of this zone, a nice clear area to be retested, swept right above this high here, and then cracked right back down. Does it always happen? No. Sometimes we open up here and we pull the NASDAQ and rip. But get a clean way to structure risk, make a little bit more when you're right, lose a little bit less when you're wrong. We can make money in the long run. So watching this bad boy sell back off, and again, playing off of Dow's just, reversal type deal. There's a setup coming down around these lows. I like it for the first test of a level, right? Because oftentimes we know if we start to consolidate, sweep above a high, and then start to sell off, that's the indication that we're going to rip lower. We're going to start to trend down, but there's absolutely a buy setup coming down around these lows for a move back to VWAP. Even if we are going to continue lower, we are looking on this type of, why is this chart so back and forth? Shaking all over the place. Even if we are going to continue lower, we could look for something like this. NASDAQ retesting VWAP, at least on MNQ. Take a look at the 15, just get a little bit more zoomed out. Yeah, I got buying opportunities here. If the thesis is long, following suit, got buying opportunities. If that's the way you want to take it, again, I'd be waiting for a pretty gnarly pullback on NQ. But, you know, here we go. Coming up to the 9:30 a.m. low right here. Crack up at the open, sweep down below the low, and if buyers start to step in, you know, there's a clean long here. There's nothing wrong with that. Looking at Bookmap, levels above 600. Yeah, again, man, it's feeling like Groundhog's Day, like the repeat type of a deal over and over and over again. I'm not convinced on this. I'm not convinced on this long yet. Testing VWAP, but yeah, there it is, turning right there. Buyer stepped right back in. I could see this for a larger pullback. But again, I've been waiting on those and they haven't been coming. So, you know, we can see what we get today. It's getting volatile here. Oh, 10 a.m. red folder. Sorry, guys. 10 a.m. red folder. We got about 15 seconds. Let's call it 5 seconds to red folder news. Sorry about that. Meant to give you guys the heads up. Bookmap gives me the last final warning. Gets real dark. There we go. Crack to the upside. Long play working out. Just not finding my way in. Not finding my way in yet. We'll see. We'll see what happens up here. You know, again, do we really extend the upside on this? Are we going to continue this move and get a big extension like we started to yesterday? Going to get back above yesterday's high and turn this into a big, bullish candle? If we do, I think coming through this level, is going to be a really strong level to look at. But, here we go. Tested multiple times there with big reactions to the downside. When we cracked above, we ran, sliced through it, put this really clean double top up here. Did not want to come back above this 700 level, let's call it, right around 700. We come back up to that. We're kind of hammering against the level, right? And it feels like we would want to start to break through. Big level like that, it's hard to take a breakout from because obviously oftentimes we do see big pullbacks before we continue through it. But that's kind of what I'm looking at here. Unless we just start to drift lower, we just sell off. Market is like, you know what? Somebody said something about a tariff, so we're going to just sell off here. That's what I'm looking at, coming back up to retest this level, and then the larger move would be a big extension up above that. That'd be a pretty big move on the day, though. Let's see if Dow pulled right back up off that zone. Yep. Came back and sliced through VWAP. Here's kind of what we're looking at on the 5 minute. Didn't really hit a zone, didn't get near this level. This is kind of like the next level that I'd be looking at. We got close. But there's the case to be made for buying Dow right back to VWAP. I don't know that I'd be counting this so much with news that we got playing out right here. But I do like Dow as well. Got to get my CBOT data back on Bookmap. Hope to have that tomorrow. Trading the black sheep. Past 3 days, overnight market weak, but retracement from 50%, and the previous day's candle shoot off at open. Consolidate for an hour or two, move up, down late in the afternoon. This is what I saw. Yeah. NQ rejecting. What's up, Ryan? NQ rejecting value area after opening beneath it. Short signal there. Okay. Value area low. Rejecting value area low after opening beneath it. Got you. Yeah. Brian works with TPO charts. Takes a look at value area, high and low. Different ranges that I've been somewhat paying attention to. But using the prior day's, profile to kind of take a look at where we're opening up and then how those levels are respected and what we do from there. So, yeah, opening up below value area low. Yeah, I can see that. rejecting it, and then potential continuation to the downside. Sure, could see that happening. Again, for me, playing off of much higher time, not much higher time frame, but just, zoomed out day over day. Looking at this thing long, but again, off the open, that's why I'm looking at Dow, just trying to get something that'll play a little bit nicer with me. This stuff has been really big back and forth movements. We blast off in one direction, don't get a pullback when we finally do start to move. So it doesn't give you me at least a ton to work with. But here we are on NASDAQ on the 5-minute chart again, coming down below session low. Got some sellers stepping in. So 4 minutes into that news, we cracked to the upside and turned right back down. Again, not the fundamental guy, but ISM services, that's not really something too crazy. Came in lower than forecast and lower than the previous by a couple points. Maybe the market doesn't like that too much. But there's Brian's short signal. Selling off for right now. Ooh, Dow definitely doesn't like it. Wow. Nice 5-minute move out of Dow. But not before we slice through VWAP. Right here. So now, now I'm not looking for that mean reversion move, at least right here, right now. That's a heck of a downturn out of Dow. Zooming out on the 5-minute. Ooh, don't want to do that. Yeah, I'll bounce between these two for now. This is a little bit indecisive, at least for right here, right now. We could see the short play setting up, right? We cracked at the open. Higher on news, but aggressive sellers stepped in. Pull back to VWAP, and then maybe some continuation. Maybe. We'll watch this on the 5-minute. Again, I don't have a clean setup on this. I don't really have a clean setup. We're chopping around VWAP, right? We're still back and forth around VWAP. We are sweeping highs and lows. I think if you were trading the 15-minute opening range breakout, you had a tough day this morning. We cracked to the upside and then came all the way back down and broke the downside. And then we pulled another 25 points back to VWAP. That would be a little bit tough to work with if you're the orb trader. But I'm going to wait to see. We got some volatility. We got some movement. Definitely some volume on that 5-minute candle. So I'm interested to see where we go from here. Keep an eye on both Dow and NASDAQ. Looking at NQ Bookmap, like I said, I'll have CBOT data. I'll have that by tomorrow morning for sure. I'll have it today. I'll test with it, and then I'll have it for tomorrow morning. Yeah, we got orders at 450. This looks like we might want to come lower here. We got 475, like 50 on the book. 450. This looks like a move to the downside. Break below session low, test VWAP, and then continuation lower. There's a higher time frame play to the downside with a stop above session highs after that long wick up here. Could absolutely see that as a play. Bookmap's giving me a little bit more indication. We've got 80 on the book, 79 on the book, up at 21,600. Here, I'll show you guys this. so I'm not in the trade. I'm sure we can see it. Yeah, we've got some. Yeah, we can take a look at that. We got some orders coming up down below price that we might want to go and tag. If we do start to sell off, those could act like some nice magnets for price. We've got 475, 450, and then 400 even up above price. We do have some, that's just below that high that was put in at the 600 level. So it's a little bit tricky, but this looks like we want to come lower. That's quite a range, man. Yeah, this is kind of what I'm eyeballing here, but it's not great risk structure. I do think if we sell overnight lows, the next area down to the 400 level, that's what I'd be looking at. Not really in line with my higher time frame view right now. Let me try this short, guys. Pretty low risk, higher time frame move. I'm going to go for this selling off, continuing to the downside. My game plan here is to start with a really wide stop like this, above session highs. Literally 1 micro on this bad boy. But this looks like we want to move lower. We moved lower overnight, pulled back up, tested this area. I like the price action on this to the downside. Again, a little bit counter to my higher time frame thesis, buying on a pullback for continuation to the upside. This can absolutely be me buying the low of the day, or of the session right here for a continuation up. But we got liquidity down below. This looks fairly weak on the session. Big wick to the upside, and then cracking below these lows. I'm not waiting for a really aggressive entry up here. I'm selling into selling pressure, anticipating this thing to break and continue lower down towards overnight low. How I'm looking to structure risk on this, so essentially short from 514 and a quarter, stop at 616. How I'd look to handle this potentially is to scale in if we do start to continue lower. I could see that as an opportunity. Scale in and control risk by bringing stop loss down to a level of structure that makes sense. And try to capitalize on this movement occurring a little bit faster. But we'll watch Bookmap. This is definitely something that I would look to actively manage. I've been talking about that. Structuring it with a wide stop loss to start, and then potentially look to add in if we start to break, if we look like we want to break lower, and control risk by moving stop loss down. But we'll see if we continue the difficult to work with structure and price action, at least for me on NASDAQ. Nope, not looking to break that low just yet. Let's see what we get. Immediate push back up, sweeping above these 5-minute highs. Not the breakdown that I was looking for. Yep, I'm tempted to just clip this thing now because I don't like the way that it looks at all. Wanted to see that breakout, but stop loss is where it needs to be, at least for right here, right now. We come back above that high, this is going to turn into either a push to the upside or a hell of a choppy day. Hell of a choppy day. So I'm going to leave it on for now. Try not to take myself out of a potentially good trade. Back above VWAP, finding some strong buyers right down here. I'm gonna see if we turn and burn to the downside, but we start to come much higher, get back up to the 600s. I think this is just gonna be a move to the upside again, or a choppy day. But I'm gonna hang on for now, put the trade on, give it some room to breathe. Try not to duck out right away on a pullback. But continuing that difficult to work with structure on NASDAQ. But that's all good, man. Hop on every day. We'll take wins, we'll take losses. It's been a choppy back and forth couple weeks for me on NASDAQ. So we'll see if I want to continue with this punishment that I'm taking, or just work on Dow. That's been a lot nicer. Let's see, back down to VWAP. We'll see. We come back down to these lows. I like the trade, you know, like kind of like we're doing. We stop anywhere between here and the low of the day, low of the session, excuse me. And we turn back up and come back above that 5-minute high that we're putting in. I don't like the trade. I'm probably going to take it off this level right here. You know, if we stop here again, buyers step right back in down near these 500s, and we just blast higher. Sure, we can turn again and come right back down, but I think that's much less likely, and I think it's more likely that we start to blast off from here. But there's the reason to not close your trade too early. All the way back down to break even or near break even on this, back into profit. So we're going to leave it on for now. We'll see if this is going to be multiple 5-minute tests of a low and then a blast off. So again, up above the 60s, the 560s, I really don't like the trade. So I'd probably clip it there for half the risk. But this still looks good. Still looks good for now. There's still liquidity below. Wow, we got a lot on the book right above. Wow. A lot of sell orders just stacked up at the 40s. Holy shit. Excuse my language. Quite a bit of orders, sell side at 540. Wow. That's interesting. Let's see what happens if they stay on the book, if they're real. If we fill, do we get a lot of volatility? Does that actually start to send us lower, or are we going to start to get a lot of orders above price that want to go and get filled? It'd be great if we just left that alone and continued lower, broke 500s, and then continued down. But again, short from this is just the the commentary, right? Short from 514 and a quarter. Stop is wide at 616 above session high. Really gnarly reaction back up to the upside, cracked above, closed above VWAP, and then big selling candle to the down, big bearish candle to the downside, coming to test these lows again. Can we get below? Are we going to break out? Again, this is one of those trades where I am looking for a push lower for the session. We do have price action to trade across here, so it's not like I'm looking for a breakout down below this low. But I am looking for a breakout out of this area right here. Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to add on this. This is very big back and forth. Again, my option is to add, right? Double up right here, right now on size. Bring stop loss down here and make this a $200 stop out, right? Double up size and go with a tighter stop loss. That's an opportunity to tighten up. This trade will not need to move farther for me to make more money on it. But I, make this my stop out level for 200 rather than way up here. This right now would be the $100 mark, somewhere around the $100 mark. I'm not going to do that. There's too many orders on the book. We are looking pretty volatile back and forth. This is an interesting spot where we've got a lot of sell orders at the 40s. I don't know. I'd be surprised if we leave them, and that's reason for caution. For me in this trade. Not something that I'd want to get in heavier on, I don't think, at least for right now. ES testing VWAP. Looking like testing VWAP again. Dow came all the way back up to VWAP. So while we watch this trade either melt or crack back up on me, like I was talking about earlier, leveraging the fact that Dow likes to come back to VWAP often, right? This is a great prime example. I just happen to have this one playing out and showing it pretty nicely. But we got a day where Dow pushed up at the open, cracked right back down, sliced through, came back after testing this level here, right here, hit VWAP all the way down, and then here we are all the way back up at VWAP. So you can build a stupidly simple approach around that, in my humble opinion. Trading to and from VWAP on Dow. Very mean reverting instrument. But we got a trade running. Sellers want to try this thing. I just don't know if they're going to fail here. We're back down at these lows multiple times. Maybe this was the move to take everybody out that got short down here, put a stop right here at this middle ground. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. We've came down to it so many dang times. We're hammering against it, consolidating. This looks like a nice wick above and then ability to continue down. Orders on the book are looking pretty sketchy. I don't know if this thing's going to go. Would have liked to see it happen when I first entered. I'm okay with that. That looks really good. But here we are hitting it again and not continuing lower. So it's a tough play. Yeah, again, if we didn't have orders at the 40s, I would definitely consider the add down here, stop loss right at this level. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give this thing room to chop even more and potentially take me out because we have orders up here, and because I think if we come up here, we might see some volatility and then really aggressively sell like we are doing right now, getting close to coming into that. Here we go. Let's see what happens. That's filled. A lot of volume there on Bookmap. Now, do we blast right through that and continue up, or do we actually turn to the downside? Here comes decision time for NASDAQ. Nope. Pushing through it really aggressively. Yes. Not what I want to see from Bookmap. Let's see what we get at a NASDAQ today. Appreciate you guys hopping on. Feel free, hit like, hit subscribe. You don't have to do anything. Free means free, but liking's also free. Where am I seeing orders on Bookmap? Where am I seeing orders? Bookmap. Bookmap. Here's what I was looking at. I try not to overlap my screen too much, and I can find a way to do this where I'm not overlapping my screen, but that's a lot of orders on the book. Came on, and unfortunately, what do we go do? Grab them. Quite a bit of volume being traded out right there. You can see them stay on the book, actually get filled, dealt with a volume bubble, the traditional volume down on the bottom. And we really didn't turn and burn from there. This did not act as resistance. We cracked above, and now we're continuing higher. This really doesn't look great from a Bookmap perspective for my trade. These orders down below look good, right? I like that as liquidity down below price that we may want to go and fill. The 500, I was sitting right below that we were looking like we were going to come and grab. The 75s, right? We got 50 here, 50 here. We got 81, 80 down here, down at the 50s. That looks good for, liquidity on the book that we may want to go and fill. Here we got orders coming off the book above price. Like that's good for the trade, but this just doesn't look good. This doesn't look good. Back above these highs. Yeah, I'm tempted to take this off. It's turned into a really bullish day. Is that what we're gonna get here? Just fucking rip to the upside. Excuse my language. Or do we start to actually sell? Tested that level so many times, bounced off it. I'm looking at this as potentially the really difficult short. But that's not sellers taking it lower whatsoever. Coming up on 10:30, we're going to get our initial balance high and low. The stats in our favor for the low to break first, but it's not the main stat that I look at. If we did come down and break the IB low, it would be great for our trade, but we are pushing back up higher right now. Again, leaving this on, I'm probably going to take a full stop on this. I'm going to leave the $100 worth of risk on. I don't see a second trade out of this. We come up and break higher. I have no way to get long on this. We're looking at a really massive range, and I don't have a way to get long on it. So I don't see a trade to the upside, that would form. We come down and break the low. I'm going to want to be short from where I am right now. I'm looking at this potentially as a lot of consolidation, right? We tried to wick above here and continue lower, failed a bunch of times, which sucks. Maybe this is the final wick above. Sellers take it down one more time, in which case I'd really like to be short on it from down here again. So I'm going to leave it on for now. Would have liked to see the breakdown. I don't like this buying pressure coming back up. Orders on the book down below. I just don't know what we're going to see today. This is looking choppy. Looking really choppy. Yep, 10:29 a.m. This is going to be our IB high and low. The 1 hour opening range put in between 9:30 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. Eastern. If we break one side of it, we typically do not come back and break the other side. It's a nice strong stat. Again, initial balance high and low, 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Eastern. If we break one side, we typically don't break the other side. If we break one side, we typically extend by a pretty decent amount. There's also a stat that tells you which side is more likely to break first. Today, the low is more likely to break first. It's the side that's put in last. Actually, yeah, here's 10. Here's like a 10:03 candle. But this thing is just pushing right back up to the upside, holding above VWAP, not continuing lower at all. Got an option to clip it for, $50 worth of risk, but I think I'm just going to let it go. If we need to break IB high, I think we're going to continue higher. Again, probably not going to have a follow-up trade on this. I don't see it happening. I don't see where I would get long and place a stop loss that wouldn't be all the way down below IB low. Would really be the complete opposite direction that I took it. And it could be me taking an L. So I'm just gonna let this one play. That's my game plan. That's my plan. Let the trade play out. Again, appreciate you guys hopping on here, man. It's fun to have a group on here, chatting with you guys. Got a lot of the same names every day. Appreciate you guys, man. Like I always ask for, feel free, hit like, hit subscribe. If you're new and you want to chat next time, hit subscribe, and you can yap in the chat with me. Weirdest thing happened today. Totally forgot about the 10 a.m. news. Entered a short. Damn move, saw 200 point. That's frustrating. That's frustrating. Took profit about $200. Nice. 3 MNQ. Nice. Taking out sell orders that came through. Yeah. Probably take it to the lows. Think your stop is in a safe area. Yeah. I mean, safe or not. I think it's based off a level of structure, right? It's in an area where it's a very clear invalidation point. I think sure there's probably stops from people that are getting short. That were, a lot tighter, like down here. This is an obvious area if you were short on the day to have a stop. But if we come back above this high, I don't want to be short anymore. I don't think I want to be short from down here all the way up here. Just not the play. Hey, Zach, why don't you consider closing the trade and then probably look for something once it clears up, pre-market high at about, maybe. I don't like, if I'm taking a trade like this, I don't like to try to jump in and out, taking losses on the way. Typically how that ends up for me and most traders, unless you do it really quickly, is kind of death by 1,000 cuts. You keep trying the same trade over and over and over again. You can always certainly get back in. You can always find a way back in. But it's after you realize a loss, and oftentimes at a worse price. So I'm not as big of a fan of jumping back into the same trade multiple times and realizing a lot of small losses and then eventually getting it to potentially work out. Also, oftentimes it can be very frustrating if you just miss the move, right? I close out and I say, well, I'm going to wait to see if we come above high here and, then attempt to get back in if we come down. Well, now I realize the $100 loss. Maybe we don't come back up here. We start to come down. I try it again. I get stopped again. It kind of just makes for a lot of management, and I just don't ever see it working out too well. I'm not a fan of jumping out of a trade and drawdown to get back in quickly on the same type of trade. Again, near break even, moving stop loss to break even, preserving capital that way. Sure, I think that makes sense, but usually it just ends up with taking a lot of small losses that end up being a larger loss that would be equal to or greater than if I had just left the stop in the same area, let the trade play out, and go from there. But not a bad idea. Other guys might find that works really, really well for them. Yeah, choppy, man. Just back and forth. Just super back and forth. Yeah, I'm a fan of, for the higher time frame stuff, I'm a fan of saying, okay, I want to be short for all of these reasons. Here's where I don't want to be short anymore. I can make a call before then and say, I'm going to close the trade because the trade idea is not working, but not if I still want to be short and I'm going to hope for a better entry or for something else to happen and then to get me in short again. That's kind of the longer thought process on it. Yep. Choppy, man. Choppy. This right now, I'm getting ready to get out of completely. Not to try to find a better area to get back into this trade, but just because the trade did not work at all. Watching Bookmap, orders at 600. Still have all those orders down below. This may be a swipe above this high, and then come back down. But I don't know. I think that would be much less likely to happen. I think if we do swipe above, we're looking at just continuing higher. Yeah, that's the pop to the upside. I'm gonna go ahead and clip this one right here, guys. That is just bullish structure after bullish structure coming to test these lows. It's just not playing, right? I'm short for the break of the downside, waited for it to come back up here, sweep above this 5-minute high, failed to do it, came back down, got above here, let it come all the way up on me. We came back down, held. Now we come all the way back up again. This is at least sellers for right here, right now, over the last 30 minutes that I'm in that trade, not taking it lower. So I'm gonna realize that loss rather than the full one. We'll see how that trade management plays out, right? We'll see if we just sell right back off and come lower, or if we are indeed going to be moving higher, but this looks way, way, way more choppy. That is not the move to the downside after this wick to the upside. Initial trade thesis is failing there. Allowing that type of wick, that type of movement, and then trying to come lower is all fine. But for me at this point now, not nearly as good. Not nearly as good. Trade really just showing that we're not playing out. So small L brought me from $50 to 97, plus 50 to down 97. We'll see if something else sets up. And we'll see how that plays. All right. Yep, be right back, guys. Hit the bathroom for you. Hit the bathroom, be right back. Back in action with you guys. Still pushing higher. We'll see. Crack IB high to the upside. It's not likely that we come down and break this low. But that's hell of a structure to trade off of to the upside as well. It's not an insane range, but so far this session, we are going to be around 107 points. I could see this as a continuation up, but this is looking choppy. This is looking pretty dang choppy. So I don't know that I want to start and get involved in that. Dow back and forth to VWAP, still playing nice. But we'll hang out and watch this. We'll see what we get. Yeah, that's what I said a while ago. Wait until it clears pre-market high. Yeah. You can wait for pre-market. I mean, you can wait for initial balance, right? That could be your play. Wait for the opening hour, which I often do, and then wait for a break you have a really strong stat, a really, really clear place to put a stop loss if you're okay running a wide one, anticipating that doesn't come all the way back down on you. But we'll see what we get here, man. That was looking really good to the downside, even after those pullbacks. But again, maybe I'm viewing NQ just a little bit too directionally. And I like the way that I think on Dow for whatever reason, much more reversal perspective, looking at it and anticipating reversions. So we'll see. We'll see what we get out of today. But for those that hopped on late, appreciate you being here, man. Feel free, hit like, hit subscribe. I'll throw the link in the chat for I'll throw the link in the chat for the 100% free Discord. Boom. You can hop on here every day, watch me take wins, losses. Been a lot of small L's, man. Been a lot of small L's this week. It's been difficult markets to trade for sure, but that's what I'm going to show you guys live. Show you wins, losses, win streaks, drawdowns, everything. Build a nice long track record of live trading with you guys. And in the free Discord, you can ask me questions, talk to each other, get trade ideas from experienced traders, newer guys asking questions, everything in between. If you're interested in any of the tools that I use, or you trade with prop firms, you just want a discount for yourself, check the links in the description of this video. You could use code RDF or use one of the links. I'll be checking out Tradeify accounts real soon. 30% off right now for the straight to funded stuff. It's pretty sweet. I'll throw that in here as well. Since that seems like the one that everybody is interested in. Boom. That's the 30% off on Tradeify. Straight to funded, no eval. Got to deal with some consistency, minimum days to pay out, buffer, but I'll be playing with that coming up real soon. Still looks good to the downside. My bias is still short unless it consolidates above pre-market high and starts to go up after a small pullback. Yeah. For me now, I'm starting to lack bias, which is a good reason to not be in a trade. Higher time frame still looks like a move up now, right? At least to me. As we came down here multiple times after putting this wick in, that's good for a short. It's good for a short. Hammered against this, liquidity down below, moved down to the 450s, 25s, 400s, where we had some nice stacks of orders. Sweeping below a low, that looks good. Looks good. That's a trade that I'm happy to take. But right now, we are just maintaining this day over day. Obviously, I'm showing a specific time here. We're maintaining this day over day push to the upside. This right now from the 15-minute looks like long wicks to the downside, failing to get below VWAP and just wanting to push higher on the day. We do come up higher. Challenging this prior day high area could be next. And like I was talking about, much more zoomed out. This is a pretty serious level right at the 700s, right? 21 700s. Tested multiple times, big reactions to the downside. We start to crack above this. I think we got room to go, right? This could be a much larger move to the upside. So I don't know about taking a breakout style or anticipating it, now. To the upside, I'm certainly not ready for that, but I could see that trade. Short could absolutely still be in store. This could be just a very frustrating, hey, we're going to come all the way back up, break IB high, sweep above this, or get super close like we're doing right now and not getting above, and then come aggressively back down. I'm going to try to not hold my bias to say, hey, I went short, so now I want the market to go down to prove to me that I'm right. You have to try to remember that type of stuff. You can get caught playing that game and try to beat the market, and the market usually wins. But if this came all the way back down and came through these lows, it would be a case to just leave your trades alone. Another one that I've seen, and and we just continue lower. And that'll go in the journal. That'll go in the journal. But so far choppy, right? Like fairly choppy if we look at this. Opening up to the upside, pushing higher, putting a high in at 10, all the way back down, support found, all the way back up. Not a ton of direction if we drop to a lower time frame like the 2 minute here. Dow, I don't like this as much as we get later in the day, and we've already sliced back and forth through VWAP so many times. Like I talked about, nice sell off the open, back down towards VWAP. We came back above, came to VWAP again. What does this look like on a really low time frame? Yeah, pulled all the way down here, cracked back to VWAP, down again lower, back to VWAP. We got close here. Yeah, but I mean, what does that look like from a much higher time frame perspective? Kind of zoomed out on a 15-minute. Like back up at these highs after wicking down below lows. Like, looks like we want to try this to the upside. Yeah, but at this point, I definitely want to see the IB high or low break. We are out now, waiting this long. We come up and break it, man. Like long is the play based on the statistics, and the structure would support that. Again, I think it'd be kind of hard to have a stop loss just like right down here. I think we could easily come up, break this, continue this chop for a little bit, and then continue. Expansion, just continual expansion where we pull this type of movement, higher low, lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high. It's not common to see it happen. It certainly does happen. But I'm going to wait for the initial balance to break and then take a look. Make sure the VWAP is in the right spot. Selling back off so far. Let's see how the close would have played. Maybe we just blast lower without coming above this high and not touching the trade. And saving myself an extra $60 or whatever it was would be the play. But we'll see. How do these affiliate links work? Do you get paid? I use a code. They're all different, brother. They're all different. It just depends on the on the partnership or the company, kind of what you have rolling with them. Most of the stuff, first off, if you already trade with the company or you already are using it, it doesn't do anything. You just get a discount. The person that's providing it doesn't get anything. And then most of them are like on the first purchase or something, whatever it is. But some are more, more in favor of the partner. Just depends. They're all very different. Pushed it higher, got real close to IV high, didn't test, sold back off. Let's see, do we turn right back down or do we actually break to the upside? I'm actually really interested to see here. Take a look at ES. Similar structure out of ES. Could not find the sellers to take it lower. Headed back up towards highs. Oh. Let's see what February's got for us, man. Again, appreciate you guys hopping on, man. Feel free, hit like, help me out, help the video get some exposure while I'm hanging out with you guys, but you don't have to do anything. I'll be on here free live every morning, 9:30 a.m., showing you how I approach the markets. Waiting for NASDAQ to do something. Do something, NASDAQ. Took it short. Took it short on Dow before hopping on the live. Ended up with a small win. Tried it short down around the lows of the session for a breakout to the downside. Did not pay. Cut the trade for a partial loss. Would still be in that original short based on it not cracking above IB high, but that's a long time to hold out for that trade to do something. But again, we're going to see if not touching the trade would have paid, or if saving yourself, cutting your loser short, is actually going to help out. Right now, waiting to see if we break IB high or low, initial balance high, initial balance low. The first hour of trading, the range that gets put in within the first hour of trading from NYSE Open, 9:30 a.m. Eastern to 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Got that marked out. There is a nice, strong stat. Let's get the numbers on it, man. Let's get the real numbers from Edgeful, so I don't have to say strong stat. Let's go to NQ. Let's look at the initial balance breakout, and let's run it for a year of data. So over the last year of data, NQ breaks one side of the initial balance range, the first 60-minute range of NYSE session, 79.46% of the time, almost 80% of the time. If we break this high, we don't come back down and break the low. Also, only 18% of the time do we break both sides, and less than 2% do we not break either side. So we're almost always breaking at least one side, if not both. 80% of the time, we're only breaking one side. If we break, we typically extend, and can we see it in by rejection? Yeah, so if the high is formed first, like today, and the low is formed second, 68% of the time we're breaking this side first. If it's opposite, if the low is formed first and the high is formed second, 75% of the time we're breaking the high first. So that tells us, as the thing's forming, which side is most likely to break first. So today it would be the low, or not by as strong of a stat as we only break one side. But today the stat is for 68% of the time, 68% of the days, when we put the low in second, that side's breaking first. If and when we break either side, 80% of the days we don't come back down to break the other side. So again, for example, less than 20% of the time, 18% of the time, if we crack this high, we don't come back down here very often. And if and when we break one of these sides, let's see if I can get the numbers on that. Over the last year of data, if we break out, average extension up. The average extension, if we break the high, is about 66 points, again, across the last year of data. And if we break the low, the average extension is even further. It's 43 points. Oh, excuse me, 0.43%, 92 points. So again, how you can use this as a level and to say, hey, we got some statistics behind this to pay attention to. First hour, mark off that high and low, and you got some stats to say what happens around these levels. This is stuff, in my opinion, you can find in backtesting, right? You mark off some certain levels, you watch how price reacts around them. Oftentimes, when this happens, slightly more often than not, something happens afterwards that you can use for initial balance. But that's Edgeful. If you're interested in that, link down below for those guys as well. hanging out, watching this thing chop up here, back and forth, back and forth. I don't know that I want to get back involved in this. Again, I could only see something that I'm going to hold for a larger move at this point. Starting to set up, wide stop loss, but this is very choppy back and forth. To me, gun to my head, it looks long now, right? Not my short anymore. I certainly do think it can be a difficult day where we come straight back down and break this low after doing all of this nonsense and then continue lower. But this looks like from a higher time frame perspective that we want to push higher. And these stats are starting to support that. There's also opening candle continuation statistics, right? Somewhat obvious. If we open up with a green candle, like the first candle is 60-minute candle or 30-minute candle is green. Oftentimes it's a green close on the day, more often than not. But this is looking bullish, man. Looking like we're going to try to hang on to this higher time frame structure and continue this move to the upside. But with this type of back and forth movement, I'm starting to get more cautious of just a choppy day. Just a kind of drifting back and forth around VWAP type of a day. No decision, no real big decision made by 11 a.m. that we're going to make this into a nice trend day to the upside or a push lower. So I'll have to hang out and see. Hang out and see with you guys. Glancing at ES and YM, similar structure. They're kind of just hanging out after pushing all the way back up. Pushing up back towards the highs. Do we go and try to run it? Can we do it this time? Can we do it this time? See what the boys in Discord are looking like. Let's see, man. Let's see. If you're not in the free Discord, feel free to hop in, man. Link is in the chat. Links in the description. Links everywhere. Diamond. Love when Price uses my short entry for support. I'm the real market maker. That's funny. That's really funny. Yeah, hop in the Discord, guys, if you're not. Good times in there. Hanging out, watching NQ. If you're hopping on here late, I see some people hopping on, man. Just hanging out, watching NQ. Short for a small win on YM. Short for a small loss on NQ. Sitting down 97.72 on 3 XFAs. Waiting to see if we start to break to the upside here on NQ, or if we're just going to chop around and make this an ugly back and forth day. Nothing too crazy on this one yet. Not a whole lot of directional movement out of NQ. Again, really liking YM. Probably going to be spending more and more time on YM. That's how I foresee this going. I like the choppy range bound type movement on YM. Maybe to capitalize on it a little bit better. I see it with a little bit more of a mean reversion perspective, and using basic discretionary levels of structure, especially right off the open, and leveraging that it loves to go back and hang out with VWAP. Dow and VWAP are best friends. They're like this, man. Dow goes and daps up VWAP multiple times throughout the trading session, but especially off the open. So that's probably what I'll be spending just a hair more time on is Dow. And again, I got a long form video that I was playing with. I'm gonna work on that. I'll get it to you guys. Be on here on YouTube. You can see the whole approach, the whole strategy, and you can hang out here, watch me trade it live. There we go on NQ, breaking the high, trying to break the high. No, not yet. Testing it. There we go. We got above. Candle was a little late to print. Now, do we just sweep IB high? Do we follow the statistics that when we break one side, that we don't come back down and break the other side? And if and when we break one side, we typically extend by a decent amount? That's not buyers like blasting through it. Not blasting through it. Got through some liquidity, not a whole lot. Up at 650, we got some. Way up here, we got some. I mean, there's a long setup from here, right? If you want to just be cracking to the upside. Oh, that's a short setup. If you want to look for taking this breakout on IB high, right? You got level of structure here that says, hey, if we come all the way back down and sweep these lows again, I'm out. I don't want to be long anymore. I'm looking for this move to continue right here, right now, up to 650s. There's a very simple setup there. Maybe you wait for just like a pullback into consolidation to take it. That's really all I could see here setting up on NQ. But again, not something that's setting up for anything really beautiful. This is pretty choppy price action back and forth. I don't really want to put a whole lot of risk on. I'm going to watch it, see if we get something that starts to play out. Obviously, move to the downside wasn't the play. Let's see if move to the upside is a play, or if it's just going to be back and forth kind of choppy day. Right here, right now, longs look good. Again, some liquidity up above. We had that down below. We didn't go fill. But some liquidity up above, 625, 650, looking on Bookmap, my favorite order flow software. Looks pretty thick on the sell side. We might want to go and start to break this and move. We'll watch with you guys for a little while longer. See if we get some other kind of setup here. As we crack a LaCroix, our sparkling bougie water. Hey, sometimes it's good to cut your losers short. Yes, it is. Maybe you can scalp on a small short after 624. Yeah, maybe. Let's see how that would look right now. Like about 3-4 cons for a 30 handle move. Usually observe when NQ clears a round number, it goes to 30-40 handles, reverses about 60-70, then goes up again. Yeah. Yep, you get some nice reversion. So let's see how that would play up here. There's the break. There's the extension. There's the long play setting up right there. Finally got some nice movement after a long period of waiting. My man's idea was short around 624, right? Somewhere like this. If you were playing, a move back down right at the overnight high. What did we say? 30-40 handles. Yeah, 30-40 handles, something like that. And a move back down lower before a move up. Take something like that. For me, this looks long. That's the setup. Wrong on the short. Trade management wise, good, right? Saved myself getting stopped out here for the full amount. Took a smaller loss, so that gets journaled under, hey, we did a good job cutting the trade slightly short, cutting a loser short, not having to realize a full stop. But here you go. Let's see what this 624 level looks like. Clean level to take a short from, right? If you were going to look for a really counter trend reversal style move. But again, this is looking like we're making a decision to move longer here. That's what this is looking like. Yeah, at this point now, breaking IB high, break above overnight high. I'm not looking short on this, for the larger movement. I'd be looking long, pullback, and then continuation to the upside. That would be pretty cool. But this is choppy. This is slow moving back and forth, right? And it can start to get really difficult to work with. So here we go, getting that pullback. Yeah, I'd like something that comes back in. Look for a long movement to prior day high and potentially above. Like I said, up above, we continue to move to the upside. We got a lot of room to go. Run the risk of it just being a choppy back and forth day and taking losses that way. It's okay. If you notice it really stupidly barcoding, maybe you just decide to stay out. But this looks like we want to try it higher, right? Pushed up, broke IB high. Broke above that 10 o'clock news wick, coming back down to retest. There's a long setup right in here, right? Same type of a deal. Now we broke IB high, we got structure, pullback, and you look for the continuation. I'm going to wait on a pullback on this one because I do think it's a big back and forth day, and I'm not going to get involved, at least anymore, taking a breakout with a really wide stop loss. There's no way I'm getting one down here that makes sense. So let's see. That's a pretty gnarly pullback. There's your 624. Would have worked out really nice, brother, for a short. Would not have had to take in a lot of heat. And there you go. Picking up like 30 points to the downside. Very nice. Very nice. I think those can work really well. I do think you have to be ready to have your stop just absolutely ran through if you're entering like really aggressively with no confirmation. Not waiting for any... not confirmation, waiting for anything to say, hey, sellers are stepping in. You got to take them really aggressively. But yeah, if you find something that works out right off of levels, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I'm looking long on this, guys. That's my game plan. Sticking with higher time frame direction and session direction, breaking above IB high. This is looking like a long play. Can it be a very frustrating day where we just come all the way back down and sell off? Sure. But this is indication of long now, at least for me and the way that I read the market. Breaking above levels to the upside, not really loving to hold above, at least on that candle. But this looks like a break and retest. I'd look for a little bit more of a pullback. An aggressive entry might not come. Just give me a better way to get a wider stop loss and allow me to structure risk. But I'm looking at this long, and that's something that I would hold for a longer part of the day. Get off the chart, set some alerts, and look for us to get all the way back up to the 700. Test this level, at least. Let's see. Let's see what we do here. That's a nice pullback. Yeah, I'm looking long on this, but I don't know. I don't know. It's a setup. It's definitely a setup. Like from right down in here, like if I'm going to be aggressive on the pullback, not waiting for anything to really slow down, playing off stats. But this thing looks this thing looks interesting, man. This session looks ugly. This session looks pretty damn ugly. I think I'm going to have to take this thing long. Got to stick to my guns, stick to the plan. I'm going to look for a sweep down below these low 70s just to get wide and get a stop loss below VWAP, like all the way down. Let's see. That's trading out 75s. That's a hell of a move. I don't know about this one, guys. My discretion is telling me to hang. Yeah, this is a long setup, but I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it. This is a long setup from here. I'm not feeling like putting risk on today. I'm going to use my discretion to tell me that this is just not a good setup. I just don't like the price action. I don't like the structure. This stuff is hard to quantify, but I just don't like it. I don't like it. I don't have a really clean way to structure risk outside of waiting for this to pull back up and then put a stop loss down below. I'd have to run something really wide, allow a test of VWAP, just all the way back down into the session range. This is certainly a retest of what we could see a level here, right? All of these lows after breaking IB high. I don't think there's anything wrong with this trade. I will leave it on my chart so I can come back and take a look and say, hey, you got to stop listening to your discretion, intuition, and decide, just play your setups. But I'm not going to take this. That's the only thing that I could see setting up here, right? Bullish on the morning. Back above VWAP, testing down here multiple times, not coming below. Breaking IB high, pulling back down really nice and aggressively, not really waiting for confirmation, looking for a long. Option number 2 is you don't enter here super aggressively. You wait for this thing to actually slow down somewhere and then start to turn back up. And you enter on buying pressure back up to the upside, stop loss down below whatever level of structure forms right here. But I'm going to keep myself out of this one. Looks like it could be a fine setup. But I just, again, discretion, intuition, that's part of my approach. I have my setups, but I'm reading price action and structure on the day. I'm getting a feel for the way price is moving, and I just don't like it. It feels very choppy and indecisive. It doesn't feel like we are pushing for a large day. That's just what I'm going to stick to. So that's my only other thought here. I don't know a short in the middle of this zone to just continue lower. That really doesn't line up with too much for me. You could say, hey, this is the start of a downtrend in the middle of an uptrend, and we're going to come lower. But that's the play that I would see setting up. And potentially a runner back above this level for a larger move to the upside. Safer spot for that obviously would be all the way back down past IB low. But I'm going to hang on this one. That's the thought right there, guys. And I'll leave that on the chart. Come back to it, take a look at it, kind of journal a paper trade to say, hey, here was the setup that you kept yourself out of. How would that have played out for the rest of the day? But on that note, guys, I am going to wrap it up right here. I appreciate you guys hopping on here, man. Taking some small L's in this choppy market on NQ. But that's part of it, man. It's part of it. Controlling risk, keeping losses small and living to fight another day. So, on that note, hit like, hit subscribe, hop in the free Discord. I'll see you here tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice, not a suggestion or recommendation to do anything. Trading's risky. Most traders lose money. Talk to you guys soon. Trade well. Structure your risk. See you tomorrow.